Hey! Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Gotham City Sirens, Song of the Sirens. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Song of the Sirens is the second volume in the Gotham City Sirens series, and with all the comics coming out in my pull list in the previous week, it was Gotham City Sirens that I was most looking forward to. Now, a lot of you guys are saying right now that, well, gee, Andrew, the reason why you're looking forward to Gotham City Sirens so much is because Paul Dini writes it, and we all know you have a slight fixation for Paul Dini. And I'm not going to lie, I do have a little fixation for Paul Dini. Okay, kind of an obsession. He's a fantastic writer. Does nothing wrong with Batman. He is awesome. But there's not Paul Dini being the writer that has me excited for this title. No, actually, Paul Dini isn't on the title for the whole time. Other writers come in to write their own Siren stories. No. The reason why I was looking forward to the Gotham City Sirens title so much in recent weeks is that despite all the craziness going on in the DC world, with Superman, Batman, the Justice League, you name it, all the craziness, which isn't bad, I need a little stability. I need some old-fashioned Gotham fun. I'm sure you Batman fans out there know what I'm talking about. Just some good old-fashioned, dirty, gritty Gotham fun. No heavy continuity, no heavy story arcs, no over-seriousness, just good old-fashioned Gotham fun. Simple, primal, basic. And Gotham Sirens is what I was looking to get that fun. Whether or not they delivered that, well, you'll see at the end of this review. So, with that said, and I know I say with that said a lot, but with that said, let's jump into the stories themselves. Now, Volume 2 for Gotham City Sirens is a little bit different from Volume 1 because it has more individual stories in it. There isn't one overall story arc, although the stories do connect with each other in some way, shape, or form, or at the very least lead into each other. There's no one big story arc. It's individual small stories, and there's a lot of small stories in here. The beauty of this, too, is that you'll have one issue that will actually have two stories in it to make it feel like it's more than just one issue. But anyways, I'm not going to go too in-depth about these stories, but some stories deal with Poison Ivy being framed for murder, and the Gotham Sirens have to go out and clear her name. Another one also deals with Poison Ivy's first day on a normal job. Well, I mean, kind of normal. She works for Star Labs. But Poison Ivy getting a job. Yes, apparently Poison Ivy believes now that she has to balance the plant side of her along with the human side of her. Whatever. There's also a story of a random female girl's body, dead mind you, falling through a skylight into the home of the Sirens. And these girls enlist the help of Edward Nygma, the Riddler, to figure out who is this girl and why are they being framed for murder. And it's really interesting seeing that the Riddler, this is after he's got the explosion in his face, jogging his memory, making him remember that he was a bad guy. So he's in conflict with his good guy and his bad guy stuff. There's also stories where there's a little Blackest Night coming in with, you know, Black Mask, the good old-fashioned Batman villain who's sadly not with us. I'm talking about the original Black Mask. But he comes back to exact vengeance on Selina Kyle for killing him. There's also a story where Selina Kyle's sister goes loopy and feels as though she's possessed by an angel. Oh, and the best story of all, Catwoman and Harley Quinn go looking for a lost dog. Yes, no, really, that is the story. Not like it's a genetically enhanced dog, it's not a supervillain, it's really them just looking for a lost dog. Let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you can get it. Good. Synergy, synergy, synergy. Do you know what synergy means? It means when stuff work well together. And that is what these girls do. Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Harley Quinzel. They all work fantastically together. They balance each other out very nicely. You have the dark, shade, you have the gray area, and then you have the white character. You have the good guy, the bad guy, and then the neutral character. And they all balance each other out so well. The personalities, the dynamics, the alignments, everything. These characters, for what they are right now, they're doing great, and I love it. Every character feels true to form, which is something I was worried about when reading this towards the end, because I realized that Paul Dini wasn't the only writer on this. But I guess it's good to know that while reading this, and I wasn't reading Paul Dini writing, that I thought it was Paul Dini writing. So the writers did a good job at writing these characters, making them work well. They feel true to form, and I love how well they work together. In addition to that, Volume 2 tries very hard to actually find its status quo, to hit its stride that Volume 1 hasn't quite found. See, Gotham City Sirens is an interesting comic because you have these characters, which are all very different, but none of them are really outgoing superheroes. Even Catwoman, when she had her own comic, wasn't an outgoing superhero. She was more of a vigilante. But these characters, you can't really go in one direction or go in this direction. They really have no direction at this point. Volume 2 tries to find this direction, make the comic go into an area, a position where it'll feel comfortable telling stories, other than just random individual stories that just are fun. Actually have a direction for this comic. I feel as though, in DC, this is just my opinion, that you really should work with Riddler with these characters because he works well with them. But anyways, this does try to find a status quo, kind of a direction for the Sirens title. Because up until this point, you really don't know where these characters are going to be going with each other. Another thing, as I just stated, Edward Nygma was awesome in this. I really like what they're doing with the Riddler, not only in the Batman comics, but also in the Gotham City Sirens comics. One of the best Batman characters out there right now. Very underrated. He's doing a great job. I really like the fact that he's torn between being a good guy detective and an evil supervillain. Awesome. So that's a good thing. Bad. Well, there was no overall story arc, and if you look at these stories, on a whole, they weren't impressive stories. Hold on, though, for a sec. The great thing is that these characters work so well together, and it's such enjoyable characters that the stories can be bad, and you can still enjoy the stories because these characters are so good. I mean, Harley Quinn and Catwoman looking for a lost dog seems like a silly story, and by all rights, it is a silly story. But these characters make the story fun. But one of the bads is that the stories aren't that overwhelmingly impressive. Nothing new, nothing out there, nothing really shocking to you, other than Poison Ivy getting a job. That was kind of new. But the stories could have been a little better. This was saved by the comics characters, but there could be a little bit better stories. In addition to that, I wasn't really impressed by any of the villains. Even like Catwoman's sister, who turned out to be kind of a cool villain in a way, I don't see much going for her in the future. You can only do so much with that character as a bad guy or a antagonist for the Sirens without it getting old. So that's another bad. And there's no overall story arc, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but with this comic, I think they need an overall story arc. It's really kind of starting to get necessary. Whether or not you should get it. Well, Volume 2's keyword is fun. This is a fun book to read. It's not necessarily overwhelmingly good. It's not better than the first title. The first title is still better. But this comic is fun. The characters are fun, the interactions with the characters are fun, and overall it's a fun time. The stories need to be touched up a bit, and this comic needs to find its stride. I'm interested to see what direction it's going to go in the future. Hopefully they kind of get that stride going. And I pray that they do, because Sirens has potential for being one of the best Batman books out there. It just needs to hit that stride. When it hits that stride, it will be awesome. But until then, whether or not you should get this, well, if you're low on money, I would say avoiding it for now. It's still fun, but this is really for someone that really is a diehard Batman fan or has the extra cash on their hand. If you're really strict on money, especially with the holiday seasons coming up, God, I know, because I have to go out and buy some gifts after this, maybe you should hold off on it. Not saying that you should not get it in the end. Eventually, I do recommend picking it up. But right now, if you're low on money, you probably should hold off on it. I did enjoy this though. But for now, you guys are probably better off waiting. With that said, this is Andrew saying peace out for now.